Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Expert Division in the Fall Major Tournament. The video here is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Let's go! Before I take my first shot, do not forget to check down in the video description for the direct timestamps for the specific holes in this playthrough. Have in mind as well that the club levels might not reflect your levels that you do have on your club to 100%. That's why I'm doing this voiceover as well, to talk you through it. So listen carefully, because sometimes you're going to have to play it just slightly different if you're going to have a different level of your club. Now, when we do have this type of wind, we are not going to do anything special. We're going to go straight forward and go as far as we possibly can. And the reason we're doing that is because the angle of the wind is going to be better for us here from distance than it's going to be by trying to go for the rough bump or something like that. There is players in the community that has been making a hook shot here, making it to either to the green or very close to the green. In my opinion, that is going to be kind of inconsistent results with that one. That's why I don't want to show you, because it kind of goes back and forth depending on where where you get the first bounce. So we get go and play with max overpower, play with a Thor's hammer level 6 here. And you can play the same shot with Thor's hammer even down to level 3 if you want to. But as you can see here, I'm getting a lot of distance here with the top spin I do have on the next my level 6. Max top spin, max, 2 or 3 bars side spin to the right is going to be enough. As you can see there, I'm using some curl to the left, as we do have kind of a bowl-like situation there on the center of the fairway that is going to push us to the right as well. So even if we go with curl to the left, we're still going to have no problem to get this ball to stop going from the left side there. The only problem we can have is that we do get into the bunker as our opponent did. And then we need to just use our club to gain that enough distance, so we get to the back of the green and make it fall back down. So, and for our second shot, now in this example, I'm actually going to go for the dunk here. And the reason I'm going for the dunk is to show you that the dunk is possible, even though we're going to slightly miss it. But there is definitely going to be a big possibility to just bounce it on the fairway or directly on the green, trying to go for a single bounce approach towards the pin there. It's slightly downhill, so we need to play this one for 10% extra. Important, otherwise we're going to be slightly off there. So you see I'm aiming up here, and for the dunk here, the problem I do here is that I do play max distance minus 0.3 rings. And if I would be playing with those, if I would be playing it just in max distance of my club from this position, then we would be having this shot in the bag. So if you want to go for the dunk, max distance numbers here for this distance here, you can see getting it very short. We're coming in a little bit too hot, but the backspin on the thorn will leave us up for an easy putt here for the birdie at least. You can see I'm having some Santa Clauses here on my shirt. Hole number 2, now it's time for the rough bump. 30% extra, important, as we are playing this one, very much downhill. So our opponent is going to try to go for a bounce on the fairway. You could do that, but if we do want to find a consistent way to either be very close to the pin or getting it in the hole, then you're going to go for the rough bump there. That is going to be something that I've already noticed after showing this route in pro, that this is definitely going to be the approach here in Expert that is going to bring you a hole in 1 or 2 if you just adjust it properly. The only problem we can have is that we slightly under or over adjust the rings, as for we are not being able to zoom in as much as we want to. Now our opponent is hitting it great, and this one is going to go to the right. Still going to be an easy birdie. Easy and easy, but it's still going to be a putt for the birdie at least. So our turn, and we're going to play with a sniper as well. And as you can see now, I'm not going to play with any type of side spin or top spin or back spin whatsoever. I'm having the red ring just inside the rough on the right, plus 4 yards with a power 3 ball. And The only thing that I would like to change here is that I would like to go with half a bar of side spin to the right. That's the only thing. So the backspin and top spin, I will stay without that. And now I'm adjusting this one for 30% extra, which is going to be 10.2, 10.3 rings with our sniper. So you can see here we're coming to the rough bump here, coming in very nicely here, but slightly miss it there to the left, and there you can see why I want to go with half a bar of side spin to the right. Then we're going to be there. We're going to be there fighting for that hole-in-one. And also the reason I rather want to use half a bar of side spin to the right instead of moving my landing position slightly more to the left, to the right, is that I do want to prevent us from missing the rough completely if we do hit it great to the right, because that is a risk, and that's a risk that we, in my opinion, kind of need to take if we want to be closer on hole-in-one for that approach. Now we do have hole number 3 crosswind, max top spin and as much side spin as possible combined with that, putting ourselves with the red ring just touching the rough there on the top as the landing position. Then we're going to adjust max numbers, which is in this case going to be 5.2 rings. And as you can see, I'm not using any overpower. And the question I got when I played this hole before is like, why don't you try to go over the rough? The reason I'm not trying to go over the rough is that I'm still going to gain enough distance with my shot here to be able to have approach to towards the pin. And sometimes we're going to have the angle of the wind that is going to point more towards crosswind than it's going to be pointing more towards tailwind. And then that is going to mess up, and we're sometimes going to just cut the rough and either roll down to the left into the rough, or we're just going to go short and having a hard time to even have a decent approach for the pin. You can play with a big topper here if you want to. I would suggest though that you play with a power 4 ball if you want to do that, but I think it's going to be way enough to play with an extra mile level 7, level 8, an Apocalypse level 4 plus, or a Thor's Hammer level 4 plus there as well. So our opponent here goes into the rough, and that's going to be a tough approach, especially with this type of wind now. Now you can see I'm going to have some tailwind slash crosswind, and now I'm going to play with the Guardian max backspin and going to let the ball bounce up there on the fringe to fall back down towards the pin. So I'm using here, so I'm having the red ring just by the cup in terms of distance. You can see here we are not going to bounce up to the fringe, but just before. You can see I'm having the half of the blue ring. I would like to go with tiny bit more. So I'm having the red ring just by the cup as a distance. Then we adjust mid numbers from that position, 5.3. And then we get it to bounce up there and get it to fall back down. We slightly just missed that one on the right side of the pin. This is going to be a possible albatross hole in my opinion. If we can just move our target a little bit more to the left there, then we're going to be golden. And that we can use the reference and according to the green squares that we do have there. So hole number 4, and also before I leave hole 3, no elevation adjustment for either drive or second shot, so we have that in mind. Hole number 4 now, and now we're going to play the, oh my god, I love this shirt so much. It's like, oh. Hole number 4, we're playing with the Goliath, and I'm going to talk you over the reference and the landing position and spin and etc. when it's our turn. Have in mind that we are going to have an elevation change here, or that we are going to play this hole 10% downhill. So we need to add 10% to our adjustment. Our opponent's coming in too much to the right and coming a little bit too hot in my opinion. And it's very hard to get the correct adjustment completely for this one, as there's many things that we need to take into account here. So first and foremost, landing position is going to be just cutting the rough on the right. 5 bar side spin to the right and 1 bar backspin. I would like to change to go with 3/4 of a backspin instead of 1 bar backspin. That is because we're going to come in slightly short here. And you can see here we're going to add 10% to our rings here. We're going to play this one 4.3 rings. I'm not using any curl whatsoever. I'm, as I said, with the side spin, with the back spin, and then I'm aiming slightly to the left of the pin, as we're going to have the wind pointing left to right, and it's going to push us a little bit to the right there. We're coming in very close, but there you can see the reason why I want to take away a little bit of that 1 bar backspin that I'm having there. Tiny things, we are spot on otherwise. Hole number 5, and now it's time to go for the green. Now I'm going to show you a way on the left side, which is going to not going to be that good, but there is a way to either go left side or right side of the trees. Unfortunately, I don't have the right side recorded, which is bad. Now I'm using max topspin there on my club. I'm going to have I'm going to change to 4 bars topspin, which is still going to be too much. You can see here now when I'm stretching out, I'm just having the blue ring inside the rough there on the left. I'm going with 1.5 ball of curl, which is going to be a good curl adjustment. But you can see here we're coming in with way too much topspin. And if we're going to play this shot with the Berserker, we need to play this shot without topspin, or even with 1 bar of backspin. Might being 2 bars of top backspin as well, if we're going to have wind around 12 miles per hour. If you don't want to play with a Berserker, you might don't have anyone, then you can play with a power 3 ball if you do have a wind that is going to be above 8 miles per hour, which we are often going to get with a Titan, for example. Then we're going to play straight forward with a tiny bit of curl to the left, trying to curl around the tree, coming in right to left. You can see here our opponent is doing it here, which is perfect in the way to show. Rolling down here, coming very nicely down here to the bunker. You can see he's using the big topper, which in that case doesn't have that much distance as we have on our Apocalypse, but it has the top spin. So you can play this one a couple of ways, 2 ways, and that's why these 2 shots is good to show. That it's also good to show in the way that if we do use too much topspin, going to the left side, then we're going to go full blast over the green, and we're going to have a rough iron shot. Still like straight headwind with that rough iron shot, but that is not a position that we do want to. We do want to be on the fairway or on the green in some way. Slightly missed that one to the left there. But in the end, take a close look on both approaches. Change a little bit for the ones that I'm using if you want to play it that way. Or you're going to play on the right side, which I also highly recommend that you can do. Hole number 6, and again before I leave hole 5, we need to get an eagle on hole 5 in the weekend round. That's, in my opinion, a must. Sure, it's a little bit luck of the bounce there, and luck of the roll as well if we're going to roll down, but it's going to be so important. Hole number 6 now, a par 5. And now we're going to play straightforward, going to clear the rough there on top. Very important here that you do use overpower. Our opponent is not using overpower, which is going to make him go in the rough, roll out, go short, and then that is going to be a little bit harder to go in the way that I want towards the pin. Max top spin on the X mile level 8 with no side spin whatsoever. I'm going to have 20% extra here with my adjustment. So as you can see here on the screen, I'm going to adjust my rings from this position here. I'm going to use this one as 5 rings. Then I'm going to move the landing position to max distance there, and then take my shot and go and bounce nicely over here. The reason I'm adjusting down for to then push up is because I do want to have the adjustment right in terms of the angle, like to the left or to the left, depending on what angle we have on the wind or the direction we're going to have for the wind. You can see I'm using max topspin there as well. Be aware that if you do play with a club that you have more than 6 bars of topspin, use 6 bars of topspin as a maximum, in my opinion. Now, from this position here, we're going to have a wood club, a sniper for the rough bump. And I do believe that the rough bump is going to be the best way for us to get an albatross on this hole. And it's going to be a very good possibility for us to make this shot in the hole. So, as you can see here, having the Goliath, but I'm also having the sniper in minimum distance of my club, using the red ring just there to the top, using 2 bars of top spin, to just let the ball bounce in the rough to roll down towards the pin there. You can see I'm using and having the end of the ball guide line just 1 square before the pin as to compensate for the extended ball guide line that we're going to get when we do have the tailwind that we're having. So I'm going to play this 5.9 rings. Hit it perfect. And we're bouncing in the rough as we wanted to, and as you can see, we're rolling very, very nicely. Coming so close for an albatross on that one. I do really believe that this is a shot that we definitely is going to be able to drop, especially when we now know the adjustment. Also, one thing for hole number 6, second shot, no elevation adjustment whatsoever. We're playing that as it is. First shot, 20%, as I said in the beginning, when we do adjust. So that one is played downhill. Now we're going to play with a Guardian here for hole number 7. And hole number 7 has showed itself for being a possibility to play in so many different ways. We can either play right, as I do prefer when the wind is going to be like this. I did try on stream myself playing bounce, going directly over the rough and the sand and bounce that one with curl towards the back of the green. Slightly went a little bit too short, but with the angle of the wind that we're having here, it's going to be better to play on the right side in my opinion. You can see the hill there is helping out big time to push ourselves into the left, and we're going to, worst case scenario, going to have just an easy putt. The important that we do want to is that we do not want to come in too hot towards the left, so we're going to take a swing on the top of like above the pin, rolling down to the left. We do want to come up on the right side of the green and fall down from that position, because that is going to be the way for us to get that possibility of making an hole-in-one. Here you can see I'm mixing a little bit with the Guardian here, and if we would be having a little bit more distance with a club, or maybe not headwind, then we could be playing that one using the backspin to let the ball fall down. So I'm going to change and play without any topspin. White ring, just cutting the rough on the top, on the right there. And then 8.4, and as you can see here, the adjustment is going to be very tough to make here. I'm playing this one 6 rings to make it fairly easy for myself. And the only thing I would like to change here, because I do really like how the ball is bouncing and coming in on the right side and it's going to fall down towards the left. The only thing I need to do there is that I want to go with 1 bar of topspin. 1 bar of topspin, no side spin, no right left or right spin. And then we're going to get a little bit more distance there on the green, fall back down to the left. Hole number 8. We need to have an eagle on this one, guys. And girls or gals. So we need to get an eagle here. I'm going to play with a big topper, even though we're not going to have that much distance on the big topper compared to the extra mile. And I'm going to play this shot exactly as I'm doing in rookie and also in pro. Oh no, Raiders, I can take it back. And we can see our opponent here trying to mixture a little bit, trying to find a landing position that he is going to be happy with. And bouncing in there, coming in, just cutting the trees there. If a little bit more outside to the right, then that wouldn't be a problem whatsoever. Whatsoever for our opponent there. So our turn. As you can see, I'm having a big topper level 6, but you can play this shot even if you have a big topper level 2, level 3. But if you do not want to play with a big topper, you can play with an Apocalypse or a Thor's Hammer as well. Same type of shot, having the red ring just down into the bunker there. And as you can see here, I'm using max topspin and 1 to 1.5 bar side spin to the right. Playing this one as I would be in medium/maximum distance of our club, as I do have a little bit more yards with the big topper 6. With a big topper 3, I would be playing it in max numbers. Now we're going to not use any overpower. We're just going to make a perfect shot and then we're just going to let the ball fall down here, and we're going to roll out to the fairway. Sometimes we're going to roll down to the green, sometimes we're going to do a double bounce like this in the rough, and we're going to get a little bit short, but this is a wedge that we should be making every single time. And when saying every single time, that doesn't mean that I'm going to make it now, because I'm over adjusting this one big time, which is sloppy. It's very easy, like not easy, but on this approach for the wedge, we're going to adjust around half a cup to the right on the pin for every 8 miles per hour. And then we're going to get it in. Our opponent misses it to the right, and I'm going to do the same. And it's painful to even watch it, because that's a wedge that, as I said, we cannot miss that one. And but that is definitely something that we will change when we're playing the qualifier for real, and also for the opening round there. Max topspin to gain enough, as much distance as possible here. You can see we're not going to be in the air much at all. We're going to be slightly less than half a cup to the right, but as on the pin. But you can see here how much I'm going to, how much I'm adjusting it here, going like even more than half a cup. And as I said, half a cup to the right if we do have 8 miles per hour in wind, and we're going to miss it to the right. So my tiny things, but that is an eagle we cannot miss. Hole 8 is a must eagle, as I do believe hole 5 is going to need to be. Now we're going to go to hole number 9, the last hole in expert, and hole number 9 is the kind of the last hole for everyone in every division. But we're going to go to hole 9, and here I'm going to play on the left side. I'm not going to play right side, and I know there is a discussion about that, what actually would be best. I do believe that the left side is going to be better, as for the wind that is going to be provided to us. And here I do choose to play with the big topper instead of trying to clear the rough completely. I tried to clear the rough as well, but then we need to rely on playing with the overpower, and sure, that is possible to make. But then I went into the rough, and by playing a shot without overpower, or at least just with a tiny bit overpower, of course maximize the opportunity for us to get more control of our shot. So adjusting the big topper level 6 down as I did before, then pushing up the max distance there. You can see I'm using a tiny bit of overpower. That's not much at all. Hit it great on the right side, and that's always dangerous with the big topper, as the accuracy is poorly. But you can see I'm getting a very nice distance with that topspin there, and now I'm going to put myself up for one of my favorite positions on all the holes, which is going to be the rough bump. And I'm going to throw away the sniper on this one. If the reason I'm throwing away the sniper on this hole is that if we do not get the roll that we wanted to, or we are making a bad drive, we cut the rough for some reason and go short, then we do need distance. We need to, I think we need to compensate for that, and don't put that much pressure on ourselves that we need to pick a Cataclysm or a Big Dog or maybe Horizon for the second shot. Our opponent goes into the rough, into the bunker here, and this is going to unfortunately put him in a position where he is not going to be able to reach for the pin into whatsoever. So now I'm having the sniper in this example, but I'm going to change to play with the Cataclysm, or I'm going to play with the Big Dog for the rest of the tournament. As you can see, we are in max distance of our club there. If we would be just getting a little bit less yards with our drive, then we're going to have to overpower our drive, or overpower our second shot, which is not something I would suggest you to do. 8 miles per hour, and we're going to go and play this one 8.2 rings. I can also see that I'm slightly misreading the wind arrow there as well. Hitting it great to the left, we're going to miss left. Even though we're going to come in kind of close, good amount of distance, but we're going to miss it left. We hit it great left. So, ladies and gentlemen, this was the playthrough for Expert Division in the Fall Major Tournament. And I'm going over the holes here. I hope you did understand the description that I did make. If you didn't, or maybe you have an additional question, then please make a comment in the comment section below, and I will be happy to help you out there. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell button as well so you get a notification every time there's a live stream or or a new video. The video here is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, so good luck in the fall major tournament.